Welcome back, guys. Just got off work down here this afternoon trying to declutter the front of this boat for this weekend. We're gonna swap stuff up and do a little bit of flipping and pitching this weekend, so I got to get a lot of these rods off this deck. But in the process of doing that, I ran across the lure. It kind of goes with the last video. I say kind, it really does go with the last lure I made a video on, which was the fluke. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll leave a link down in the description for you. But this lure is one of those lures. It's been on my deck now since a little bit before April, and I won't take it off my deck as long as I'm fishing for feeding / schooling fish till October, probably middle part of October, depending on the weather and the fish. But that would be the Spook. This bait right here goes hand in hand with that fluke. You really can't fish the fluke without having a Spook in the boat and having it tied on. And I know a bunch of people fish a bunch of different pencil baits, but I've always stuck with the fluke, or stuck with the Spook. It draws a lot of big bites. It's one of those when these fish are in cover, in structure, 8-10 foot underneath the water, right conditions, I can call them out with this plug. When they're suspending, like they're fixing to start doing here soon, I can call those fish up with this plug. Now that being said, they don't eat it like candy all the time. Sometimes they get a little frustrating with it, and that's where the fluke comes into play. But bar none, you can't beat the explosion that you can get on a Spook. It's just unreal. Which, let's get into it a little bit, and then we'll go back over some of that stuff. But let's get into the actual Spook itself. Normally I run the just standard size Spook. I try to keep the color simple, try to keep it down. I think I'm running 3 colors right now. Basically, it's just any kind of chrome pattern. You got to have a chrome in there just for certain circumstances. Bone would be my next one that I would have. And probably my most favorite, save it for the last, is the clear one. I love the clear one just for a bunch of different reasons, and I'll get into those here shortly. But that's the 3 colors I run. I try to keep it simple. Again, like I said, just like when I'm fluke fishing, like when I do any fishing, I like to keep it simple, keep the choices down so you don't get bogged up in all the different choices. On the Spook, rigging wise, there's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of modifications. It's go to the store, buy one, bring it home, swap the hooks out. I mean, that's number one thing, is to get some different hooks. Tie on and go fishing. It's just that simple. The design of it is super simple. It's just a walking style bait, but it's probably one of the most productive in those certain times of the year. Always loop knot. It can be a mechanical loop, it can be a hand tied loop. And when I mean mechanical loop, you know, like a split ring, snap swivel if you're confident with them, but some type of loop knot. If not, this bait will not walk properly. If you try to put a tight cinch down knot on it, it's going to kill half the action. Now when I'm throwing it, I like to throw it on at least a 15-pound test line, and I usually throw it on a 7-foot medium heavy with a fast tip. I like the fast tip because it allows me to rear back and sling this thing. Most of the time when I'm throwing a Spook, I'm throwing it with the tip of the rod. When I'm working it, I'm also working with the tip of the rod. I like the soft part of it, just when the fish hits, I can feel the fish a little bit before they feel me, so to speak. Reel, do you need a high gear ratio reel? It helps. It helps when you make these long casts out there and the fish blows up at the very end of that cast. You've got to set the hook and recover a lot of line real quick. So yes, it does. Do I throw one? No. I think this is a 7172. It's not a real fast one. It is faster than the 5.3s, 5.1s, if anybody ever remembers those. But it is a little bit faster, but it's not as fast as some of the fastest ones. But it does help. But you can still catch them on a standard reel, standard setup. Modifications, tips, tricks when working a Spook, or how to outfish somebody else that's fishing in front of you with a Spook. Biggest tip that I can give you, and let me lay this down and grab 2 here. But let's say you've got a field out there and these fish have been getting hammered for 2-3 weeks now, and everybody's throwing a pencil pop or pencil style bait, a walking dog bait. Most of those baits, get rid of the hooks, make a noise. They make a noise. So what I will do then, and that's where my clear one comes in, I'll throw this clear one, which for one has no rattles, it's silent. Plus being clear, it presents a smaller looking, a downsized spook, even though it's the same size as this one. It makes a difference. Yes, I've caught a lot of fish doing that behind people. So that's probably my biggest tip or advice to you, is kind of be aware of that. See if that's happening. Other than that, I mean, there's not a lot else you can do with them. You can work it fast, you can work it slow, you can dead stick it. They are an awesome bait. They are one that when the fish are exploding on it this time of year and coming up into late summer, dog days, it's hot. It's really hot. But get out there and throw these. You might not get but 4 or 5 bites, but those 4 or 5 bites could potentially have you 25-30 pounds of fish in the boat out of a 5-fish limit. Early parts of the year, between the stripers and the bass, they're just coming up on the herring. These things are unbelievable. Unbelievable if they're not getting beat to death. And if they are, try back to throw the fluke. But guys, that's about it. That's about all I got on the spook. Hope y'all learned something. If you did, hit that like and subscribe button. Till then, y'all stay tuned, and I'll catch you on the next one.